We have all heard of Intel, AMD, and ARM if you're the keen one. But there is one more chip maker that deserves your attention. Why, you ask? Well, only because it took a game to bring it down. Hi, and welcome to this episode of GameTalks. I did exaggerate a little bit earlier. As you'll understand in a few moments, a game wasn't entirely responsible for the downfall of Cyrix. It never is. The collapse of a company cannot be boiled down to a single entity. It is the result of failures and disappointments on multiple ends. Before delving into the downfall, let's take a look into the background of Cyrix. It was founded in 1988 in Richardson, Texas, as a manufacturer of math coprocessors by Tom Brightman and Jerry Rogers. Now, back in the day, some CPUs required extra processors to keep them clocking smoothly. A math coprocessor was one such extra processor that they required, for lack of a better word. The CPU would offhand some of the mathematical calculations to the coprocessor so that it could focus on other tasks. The company aggressively recruited engineers and eventually had a design team of 30 people. Humble beginnings. Cyrix was able to bring computers into the lives of many people in the form of affordable PCs. Cyrix's first math coprocessor outperformed its Intel counterpart by nearly 50%. Back in the day, PC enthusiasts were overjoyed because they could use a 486 DLC that ran at 33 MHz to achieve comparable performance to that of an Intel 486SX running at 25 MHz. It wasn't perfect by any stretch of imagination. The chips had stability issues and they didn't have CPU registers to control the onboard cache. Large OEMs from the likes of Acer and Compaq weren't convinced by Cyrix's 486 CPUs and instead opted for AMD's processors. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in an Intel versus AMD video. I can make it happen. Despite this, Intel spent pointless years in the court alleging that CX486 violated its patents. The two companies did eventually have an out-of-court settlement, if you know what I mean. You see, unlike AMD, Cyrix had never manufactured or sold Intel designs under negotiated licenses or agreements. Their designs were the result of painstaking reverse engineering and often made advancements in technology while still being socket compatible with Intel's offerings. In today's market, Intel and AMD's processors can't be used on the same motherboard because they are not socket compatible. Okay, now that you know a little bit about Cyrix's background, let's move on to the real reason why you're watching this video. Thanks, by the way, I appreciate it. If you'd like to know more about Cyrix, I'll link an article from Techspot in the description down below for you to read. Skipping a few years lands us in 1995. This was the year when we had iconic movies such as Batman Forever, Toy Story, and the first Bond movie starring Pierce Brosnan, GoldenEye. This was also the year when Cyrix released its most popular chip, the 6x86, a direct competitor to Intel's P5 Pentium. The battle was intense, and although there is a clear winner, Intel, many critics and benchmarks demonstrated that the two chips traded mighty blows against each other. Here is a quote from Byte magazine from November 1996. Cyrix's rejuvenated 6x86 handily beats a comparable Pentium, has no trouble with 16-bit code, and boasts the fastest I/O bus in the business. However, Cyrix can't match Intel's fastest core speeds and the 6x86 doesn't support MMX. This video revolves around Quake, a game developed by ID Software. The gaming enthusiasts among you would instantly recognize this studio as they are behind some of the most successful and popular franchises in the world, Doom and Wolfenstein. You see, Quake relied on a certain instruction pipeline to do perspective correction calculations in the background, while also texture mapping, effectively doing two tasks at once. And because the 6x86 lacked this particular pipeline, the results were disastrously low frames per second. The game did not have an option to turn this perspective correction off either. Intel's Pentium, however, did have this particular instruction. Talk about favoritism. Its optimization for Pentium went beyond this. Quake had a number of other architectural advantages towards Intel Silicon. further decreasing performance of other CPUs. This boosted the popularity of Intel's designs among the gaming community, a deed that can be witnessed even today. I'm looking at you, Team Blue. Cyrix's credibility as a manufacturer of gaming products was lost due to this. Eventually, in 1997, they merged with the National Semiconductor, which lost them their design team. The mismanagement of this merger, along with a few other things, led to Cyrix being sold to VIA Technologies, at which point they were developing their x86 product, the Geode core, a low-powered consumption processor core, which was sold further to AMD in 2003. Geode was in production all the way until 2019. The damage was done, and very soon the CPU battle was picked up by AMD. The results are still visible today. Okay, if you made it this far in the video, thank you very much. I highly appreciate it. There are some buttons that you can click to support the channel, like, you can subscribe, and you can also click the notification bell. So the thing is, the more likes a video gets, the more chances it has of appearing into feeds of non-subscribers of the particular channel. And the more subscribers a channel has, the more number of chances that the content put out by the channel is being consumed. The notification bell helps potential subscribers and also non-subscribers to understand that the channel has put out a new video. So if you didn't know about these three things before, well, now you do. And that's the only thing that you have to do to support the channel. Okay, thank you very much and have a good night or a good day whenever you're watching this.